Welcome to The Explainer. We've got a story for you today that honestly sounds almost made up. It's about how one person with absolutely zero coding skills used AI to cook up a trading strategy. And the results? Well, they're just nuts. Okay, so picture this. You start with a hypothetical $10,000, and in just over 7 years, it turns into more than $2.5 million. That is a 25,000% return. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you hear about from some high-tech Wall Street hedge fund, right? Well, get this. The person who did it, not a Wall Street pro, not some math PhD. In fact, they didn't know how to write a single line of code. So how did they do it? The secret is this incredible new tool that's basically blowing the doors wide open on who gets to do this kind of complex research. All right, so let's get into it. First up, let's meet the guy who kicked this whole thing off.
So this is Ron Russ. He's part of an investment meetup group, just a regular investor. And what's so important about his story is that he's super into technical trading systems, but he's not a programmer at all. And that's what makes this so relatable for so many of us.
Ron started with a really simple but powerful question. He was basically asking, hey, can someone like me, who doesn't code, actually use AI to build and test a real trading strategy? So he set up a little experiment. He used a hypothetical $10,000 and aimed it at TQQQ, which, if you don't know, is this super volatile fund that basically juices up the daily moves of the NASDAQ 100.
So what was the secret sauce? What was the tool that made all of this possible for a non-techie person?
He used an AI called Claude Pro. Now, the best way to think about Claude is like having a super smart data analyst sitting right next to you. You just talk to it. You ask it to do stuff in plain English, and it goes off and does all the complicated things in the background. Writing code, crunching numbers, making charts, all of it. And here's where it gets really wild. The entire project was just a conversation. Seriously. Ron would upload a data file and then just ask the AI, hey, can you build me a backtesting engine? Then he'd tweak the rules just by talking to it. He never, not once, had to write any code.
Okay, so let's dig into the actual experiment. Let's see how this chat with an AI turned into a full-blown trading strategy, piece by piece.
So, step one was pretty straightforward. Ron had his own custom trading signal he called Woo. He gave the file to the AI and said, okay, the rule is simple. When Woo says buy, we buy. When it says sell, we sell. Really, the goal here was just to see if the AI could even pull off a simple test like this.
And the results? They were okay. I mean, on the one hand, the strategy was great at protecting the downside. That max drawdown, the scariest drop from a high point, was way smaller than just buying and holding. But, and it's a big but, the total return just couldn't keep up. It was just a little too safe.
So Ron went back to the drawing board. Or back to the chat window, I guess. He told the AI, all right, let's try something else. This time, he wanted to test a really classic technical indicator, the 21-day EMA. The idea is simple, right? You buy when there's upward momentum, and you sell when it starts to fade. But he added a smart little twist, a 2-day delay on the sell signal just to avoid getting faked out by tiny little market jitters.
And wow, this is where things just went vertical. It's a perfect example of how one good rule can change everything. The returns absolutely exploded. We're not talking about a little bump here. The new strategy showed a return of over 20,000%. It just blew the buy and hold strategy completely out of the water.
Okay, so that was already incredible, right? But Ron wasn't done. He had one more what-if question for Claude. And this one last little tweak, it took things to a whole new stratosphere. He asked the AI to run the whole thing again, but this time, he wanted to test adding a stop loss. That's just a simple rule that says, hey, if my position drops by a certain amount, just sell it automatically to protect my profits. And the results? They were crystal clear. A simple 5% stop loss was the magic bullet. It added, get this, more than $500,000 to the final hypothetical result.
And there it is. That final combo is what gave us that headline number we started with, a truly staggering hypothetical return of 25,747%. That's how 10 grand hypothetically became almost 2.6 million bucks. So when you line them all up side by side, you can see the journey, right? You see the evolution. Each little tweak built on the one before it, pushing the returns higher while still keeping a lid on the risk, especially compared to buy and hold, which, let's be honest, could have wiped out 90% of your money at one point.
Okay, those numbers are insane. I get it. But before anyone gets any crazy ideas, we need to hit the brakes hard and have a serious reality check.
All right, listen up, because this is probably the single most important thing I'm going to say. This whole thing was a personal research project. It's for education. It's to show what's possible. It is not financial advice. It is not a recommendation to do anything with your money.
You gotta remember, backtests are just looking at the past. They're like driving by, only looking in the rearview mirror. The future is always different. Plus, these numbers are totally hypothetical. They don't include taxes or trading fees or any of that real-world stuff. And TQQQ itself is a super risky product. And maybe most importantly, this has never been tested with $1 of real money.
Because the real story here, the real magic, isn't the trading strategy. It's the how. It's the workflow. The idea that someone who can't code can just upload some data, describe what they want to test in plain English, and have an AI do all the hard work, that's the revolutionary part. The AI builds it, shows you the results, and then you just keep asking what-if questions.
And to give you an idea of how crazy this is, here's an actual prompt Ron used. After all the research was done, he just told the AI, hey, make me a great PowerPoint presentation about this to show my meetup group. The AI made the very presentation we're looking at right now. That's how easy the whole process was.
Which brings us to the biggest takeaway of all, the real point of this whole story.
Look, the treasure here isn't some secret formula for trading. It's that research itself is being democratized. A tool like this basically gives you the power of a data scientist, and all you need to bring to the table is a curious mind. You don't need a finance degree, you don't need to be a coder, you can just explore ideas and ask those big, powerful what-if questions. So the only limit now is what you can think to ask, which leaves just one question really. What will you ask?